Meanwhile, it's the end of an era in Canadian politics. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who had led the country since 2015, has announced his resignation as the leader of the Liberal Party at a press conference. Now, Trudeau made it clear that his decision comes in the wake of rising discontent within his party and the country over his leadership. Trudeau said that he intends to resign as the party leader and Prime Minister after the party selects its next leader through a robust nationwide competitive process. Trudeau said that if I'm having a fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in the next election. His decision comes amid growing discontent over high prices, a housing crisis, as well as plummeting popularity.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election. As you all know, I am a fighter, and I am not someone who backs away from a fight, particularly when a fight is as important as this one is. But I have always been driven by my love for Canada, by my desire to serve Canadians, and by what is in the best interest of Canadians. And Canadians deserve a real choice in the next election. And it has become obvious to me with the internal battles that I cannot be the one to carry the Liberal standard into the next election. Canadians deserve a real choice in the next election. And it has become obvious to me. If I have one regret, particularly as we approach this election, well, there are probably many regrets that I will think of. But I do wish that we'd been able to change the way we elect our governments in this country so that people could simply choose a second choice or a third choice on the same ballot, so that parties would spend more time trying to be people's second or third choices, and people would have been looking for things they have in common instead of trying to polarize and divide Canadians against each other. I think in this time, figuring out how to pull together and find common ground remains something that is really important for democracies. But I could not change unilaterally, without support of other parties, our electoral system. That wouldn't have been responsible.
Trudeau first took office on November 2015, ending a decade of conservative rule. He quickly became a prominent figure on the world stage and secured 2 re-election victories, making him one of Canada's longest-serving prime ministers. But the political landscape has changed dramatically. Over the past 2 years, Trudeau's popularity has plummeted. Canadians have voiced growing frustration over skyrocketing housing costs, inflation and economic stagnation. Polls suggest that the Liberal Party is heading for a major defeat in the next election, paving the way for a conservative victory. Adding to Trudeau's challenges, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has ramped up pressure, threatening 25% tariffs on Canadian goods unless the government curbs what Trump calls a flow of migrants and drugs into the United States. This despite the fact that numbers show far fewer of these cross the Canadian border compared to Mexico. The situation escalated last month when Chrystia Freeland, Trudeau's finance minister and a key ally, resigned from the cabinet. Her departure citing disagreements over Trudeau's economic policies, including a temporary sales tax holiday and a plan to send every Canadian a $250 check, stunned the nation. Her resignation followed that of a housing minister, deepening questions about Trudeau's leadership. Now the Liberal Party faces the daunting task of selecting a new leader, one who can unite the party and attempt to reverse its political fortunes before the next elections, which must take place by late October. Canada stands at a crossroads with Justin Trudeau's tenure nearing its end and the political future of the nation hanging in the balance. All eyes will now be on the Liberal Party's next move and how the Conservatives respond to the seismic shift in Canadian politics. Well, after being the top of the game and ensuring 3 terms for the Liberal Party, Justin Trudeau's meteoric rise and fall show how small issues built over time became his Achilles heel. Now, in September 2019, one of the biggest scandals that we faced was the blackface scandal erupts ahead of the elections. Shortly after the 2019 election campaign began, photos emerged of Trudeau wearing blackface when he was younger. Trudeau, a strong advocate for multiculturalism, apologized and said that his life of privilege had come with a blind spot. Meanwhile, let us in fact take a look at how the ties would impact India-Canada. Let us now take a look at how Trudeau's exit impacts India's Canada ties. Now, from New Delhi's perspective, Trudeau's time was up, and the assessment going by opinion polls was that he would have possibly lost the elections. Now, Trudeau is seen as someone who has taken a scorched earth policy in terms of India-Canada ties, especially after his allegation in September 2023 that Indian government agents were involved in the killing of Khalistan separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in Canada. Well, Delhi has rejected Trudeau's allegations as absurd and politically motivated and accused his government of sheltering terrorists. This has led to a downslide in ties to unprecedented levels comparable only to India's ties with Pakistan and China. Dozens of diplomats have been expelled, including high commissioners. Visas have been impacted. No new project is being implemented, and trade has been crippled in the last year and a half. With Trudeau's departure, some view it as a time and opportunity to repair the damage done in the last year and a half. But Trudeau, having made statements to the Canadian Parliament, he first made the allegation on the floor of the House. It shrinks the space for his party's successor or for the opposition if Poilievre were to become the next Prime Minister. In a situation there, he will be finding it difficult for the entire issue to be in fact looked into, as it is being believed that the Liberals would, in the opposition, would in fact attack the Conservatives if they try to repair ties with India on India's terms as a sellout.